First, I'm left-handed. Second, I love banana pudding. And third, oh yeah, I'm Doug. I don't have superpowers or anything, but I almost blew up the school science lab with my homemade working volcano. Oh yeah, I have this great dog, Pork Chop. And Pork Chop and me, Doug, spend our Sundays on Nickelodeon.
Doug's on Nickelodeon, Sunday. Every Sunday at 10, 9 Central.
Only on Nickelodeon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nickelozone, where I'll be reviewing every single one of Nickelodeon's Nicktoons in chronological order. Today is the first episode of this series, and we'll be covering the first Nicktoon ever made, Doug. We're going to start off these episodes with a little background. So Doug is the first Nicktoon ever premiered, first airing on August 11th, 1991, which will be 35 years ago today, before fellow Nicktoons Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy. While those two shows have been absolutely talked to death over the past 35 years since they first aired, Doug's always been the forgotten first child to its much more successful siblings. Doug was created by puppeteer and animator Jim Jenkins, who actually worked on Nickelodeon's first ever show in general, Pinwheel, which first started airing in 1977, but it ran till 1989, so he was on Nickelodeon for a very long time before Doug. It was produced by his studio, Jumbo Pictures, and was produced in part with French studio Ellipse Program. Doug actually had his first breath of life in a Florida grapefruit juice commercial, and I'll show a picture here. It aired 52 episodes with 4 seasons from August 11th, 1991, like I said, to January 2nd, 1994. A couple years after the original run ended, Disney and ABC picked up Doug for another 3 seasons, airing under the name Brand Spanking New Doug, and eventually just Disney's Doug. I will not be covering these episodes because I hope to do a full Disney series in the future, and I'll feature the Disney's Dougs or Brand Spanking New under that umbrella, but not here because it's Nickelodeon only. Doug is about a 5th grader named Doug, obviously, who moves to a town named Bluffington, which is either in Indiana, my state, or Virginia. Look it up on Wikipedia, they don't know. Also in the show, they never give a state out. This town is also obsessed with Beats for some reason, throwing entire parades for Beats and inviting bands called the Beats to perform multiple times for no really stated reason. I guess Jim Jenkins just liked Beats, so good for him. Doug has a decently big imagination and likes to create characters to escape from reality, such as Quail Man or Jack Bandit. He has a beatnik sister named Judy and becomes friends with a weird blue boy named Skeeter Valentine. His first full name is Mosquito. He has a love interest in sweet southern girl Patty Mayonnaise and runs afoul of a mean green boy named Roger Clocks. Doug, to me, is fine. It's the unsalted cracker of the Nicktoon universe. It's a nice little show with nice characters and a surprisingly good soundtrack. Doug unfortunately suffers from the fact that it was one of the first cartoons to be popular for being a more slice-of-life show than a wacky fun fest show, and a lot of cartoons basically jack Doug style, and they did it better than Doug itself. Hey Arnold, which I'll review later, is definitely one of the standouts in the genre, but other shows like Harvey Beaks and The Loud House also all did it better on Nickelodeon itself, even though Doug did do the slice-of-life premise first. But since it did it first, it's just not as good as others in the genre. Because Doug is a fine character, and he has a fine supporting cast. My favorite character is obviously his pretentious artist, writer's sister Judy, as you can see by my avatar. But they aren't very wacky, and they just have a couple of personality traits per character, with no in-depth character study episodes. I really like character study episodes that Hey Arnold and other shows of its ilk perfected so well, but unfortunately because Doug was one of the first, it's lacking. But on the bright side, Doug has a surprisingly good soundtrack, with most of them coming from the in-universe band The Beats. Most of the full versions of the songs are on YouTube, which I appreciate. Unfortunately, I can't play them in the background because I don't want to get copyrighted, which sucks, but they are very good. I suggest you look up the songs Killer Tofu and I Need More Allowance because they were really fun to listen to. Now, for my favorite performances, the voice acting in general is also really good, with Billy West voicing both Doug and Roger, and you barely even notice that they were played by the same person unless you're listening really closely like I am always. Most of the sound effects and sound direction in general were done by Skeeter's voice actor, Fred Newman, proving he has quite a lot of range as well, even though pretty much no one talks about him as part of this show. And he won't be any other Nicktoons coming up, so this is like my one chance to talk about him. He is a very good voice actor. Constance Schulman is also a standout, because she gives her such a nice voice. It reminds me of going to Virginia as a child. It's very sweet and southern sounding. It's very nice. The best writer for Doug, I'd have to say, is Matt Steinglass, who wrote the last and pretty good episode, Doug Graduates, and other 8 and 9 out of 10 episodes like Doug's Sister Act, Doug's On First, Doug's Fat Cat, and Doug Ripped Off. Best director would probably be Carol Milliken, who was the first female director for any Nicktoon, but also directed the pilot for all of them in general with Tony Eastman, that's Doug Can't Dance. She also directed episodes like Doug Takes a Hike, and Doug's Doodle, and Doug Says Goodbye, and I think are all pretty good. So I think she deserves the recognition of being the best director on Doug. And then she also went on to direct a bunch of Klasky Chupo stuff that we'll see in the future, so good for her. Well, Doug is very basic and perhaps bland compared to more contemporary slice-of-life cartoons, and even to the much superior fellow Nicktoon Hey Arnold. Doug is still a pretty fine show, with nothing to really complain about. The episodes don't run too long, the writing is fine, I don't hate any of the characters. I really like the setting of Bluffington too, it reminds me of my own town, in comparison to the big cities in Hey Arnold. I wouldn't really rewatch Doug just for fun, but if someone had it on, like on Team Nick or whatever, if they were still doing that, I wouldn't mind sitting down and rewatching a few episodes, It's a good, if you got nothing else on, why not watch? My favorite episodes by season are Season 1, Doug's Cookin'. I like the little relationship between Doug and Patty. It's pretty cute, and their dynamic is shown really well in this episode, with Patty not knowing how to cook anything and Doug trying to help her. It was a cute little one. Season 2, Doug's Big News. This season is full of 6 and 7 out of 10s the whole way through, but this one in particular gets the best title because it focused on journalism, and that was my original major in college, and that's what I'm really interested in. So it's not an amazing episode, but it's definitely a pretty good one. Season 3, Doug is Hamburger Boy. This is my favorite episode of the show, I'd like to say. This is one of the only episodes that made me laugh in general. It's much more slapstick heavy than the rest of the show. Something about it just tickled me, I guess, because, I don't know. It's just something about it. And then Season 4, Doug Graduates. It's a pretty worthy last episode of the show. This was made in the time where Nicktoons couldn't have, solid finales, because they always had to be in syndication. But it's a good enough finale, I like the development of Doug and Roger's relationship, because, shipping and all that. But their enemy ship eventually turned into a sort of friendship, and I thought that was cute. I don't know if that continues on with the Disney stuff, but I guess I'll find out when I eventually watch it, and I'll acknowledge that. Some other good episodes of the show include Doug Behind the Wheel from Season 2, which focuses on my girl Judy getting a driver's license. Doug Needs Money from Season 1, and Doug Out in Left Field, also from Season 1. Now, what's the worst episode of Doug? Well, to me, there's only one particularly bad episode. There are a couple other stinkers, but my least favorite is Doug is Slave for a Day, which is spelled like that. It's not a slave for a day, is the slave. No, it just is slave. Where Doug breaks a vase and Judy blackmails him into becoming slave for a day. It's not really interesting. It's not funny. I'm guessing it's probably culturally insensitive now. And I think it actually gets skipped over in syndication now because the title. you probably should skip it. It's not fun to watch. You're not really missing anything. There are many mediocre episodes of Doug, but I'm sure I'm mediocre to many people online, so I don't really mind. Well, that's all I really have to say about Doug. It doesn't leave me with a lot to talk about. It's a fine show, but it doesn't really stand out amongst the other Nicktoons I'm going to review. It's not Doug's fault that better shows using its same formula came out later and did it way better. But it just doesn't look that great or special in hindsight. But you know, it's the first Nicktoon ever, and it'll always have that crown, so good for Doug. Oh yeah, and Doug has a talking dog. None of his episodes are that great either. So join me next time when I'll be going over the first most popular Nicktoon ever, Rugrats. Stay tuned.
This is Doug.
Hello, Douglas.
This is Doug Moving. This is Doug Moving to weeknights at 7, 6 Central.
Really?
That's great! Congratulations!
Same great guy at a new great time. That's Doug. Starting Monday, join him every weeknight at 7, 6 Central on Nickelodeon. This is how happy you'll be.